Before I start, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this are messy, painful, and real, and your support helps me keep bringing them to life. It started with a joke, or at least that's what I thought. My wife smirked across the dinner table, swirling her glass of wine like it was part of some carefully rehearsed act. "Remember my ex, Michael?" she said casually, almost teasingly. "I wonder what he'd think if he saw us now." At first I laughed. I forced a laugh. I've always had a sense of humor about her past. Michael had been a footnote, a chapter closed long before I even existed in her life. But the way she said it, the way her eyes sparkled with some private amusement, made my stomach twist. I felt a strange unease that night. Not immediately, but the seed was planted. Later, I noticed the little things I had been ignoring for months. Her sudden secrecy with her phone, missed calls she claimed were spam, a faint scent of perfume I didn't recognize, late nights at work she brushed off with half smiles. At first, I questioned myself. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was imagining things. But then came the moments that couldn't be ignored. One evening, I glanced at her phone when she left it on the counter for a second. A string of texts from someone labeled only as M flashed on the screen. Playful, flirty, too familiar. My heart sank, but I didn't confront her yet. I wasn't sure if it was nothing or everything. Dinner that night should have been normal, but it wasn't. She laughed at something Michael had supposedly done years ago, mimicking him with exaggerated gestures, and I caught myself holding my breath. Her voice was warm, light, but there was an intimacy in it I had never heard directed at me. My mind spun, trying to convince myself it was harmless nostalgia, but it didn't feel that way. Later, she excused herself to the restroom, leaving her phone on the table. I hesitated, then looked. Messages spilled out like a confession I hadn't asked for but couldn't ignore. Plans, whispers, and private jokes with someone whose name I didn't know, yet the tone made my stomach churn. This was no longer a harmless past. It was a present reality I hadn't seen coming. I felt a whirlwind of emotions: confusion, disbelief, anger, heartbreak. The woman I had loved, trusted, built my life with was sharing pieces of herself I thought belonged to me alone with someone else. And I had been blind, choosing to trust the surface while the truth simmered quietly beneath. Confrontation wasn't immediate. I needed to process, to understand if I could even handle the truth. I replayed our years together, searching for signs I had ignored: the weekend she was working late, the subtle shifts in conversation, the way she sometimes smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Each memory now carried a sting, each laugh a whisper of betrayal. When I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper, she froze. "Is it true?" I said. Her eyes darted away, guilt flashing across her face. She wanted to justify it, to soften the blow. "I didn't mean for it to happen, it just happened," she murmured. Her voice carried regret. Yes, but also a fragile attempt at explanation, as if the complexity of desire and human error could make this okay. I didn't reply immediately. Words felt useless against the whirlwind inside me. Love, trust, loyalty, they all collided with pain, disbelief, and grief. I realized something crucial in that moment. Forgiveness was not mine to give, at least not yet. My self-respect demanded clarity, boundaries, and distance. The following weeks were a blur of conversations, silence, and reflection. I questioned myself constantly. Had I been naive? Had I ignored the signs too long? But slowly, a different kind of strength emerged. I didn't hate her, not entirely, but I recognized the difference between love and enabling someone to betray you. Protecting my own heart became the priority. Eventually, I made the decision to leave, not in anger or vengeance, but with quiet resolve. I packed my things, said what needed to be said, and walked away. She cried, pleaded, tried to explain, but I remained calm. I had chosen clarity over chaos, honesty over denial, self-respect over heartbreak. Walking away, I felt a mix of grief and liberation. I mourned the love I thought we shared, but I also reclaimed the dignity that betrayal had threatened to take. The lessons were harsh. Trust is fragile. Love can be deceived, and some chapters end not with a bang, but with quiet realization. I learned that night that betrayal doesn't always scream. It whispers, hides in smiles and jokes, and in the smallest, overlooked details. And I learned that strength isn't in clinging to someone who has chosen another path. It's in choosing yourself. If you've ever been in a situation like mine, I want to hear your story. Hit subscribe to follow along, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Sharing pain is never easy, but sometimes it's the first step toward understanding, healing, and reclaiming your life.